Australia has a reputation. The snakes, the spiders, the sharks, the crocs, most of it gets filed under things that could theoretically happen and ignored the moment someone laces up their boots. That's the actual danger, not the animals. The assumption that a marked trail is a managed space. That a car park, a trailhead sign, a Parks Victoria information board means the wildlife beside the path has somehow been briefed. It hasn't. Every entry on this list is ranked on one measure only: how small the gap is between the moment you feel completely safe and the moment something already has you. Not the deadliest animals in Australia by statistic, the ones that give you the least warning on real walking tracks, backed by real incidents. The list climbs from the animal that at least lets you see it coming, up to the trail where the water looks exactly as still the second before the attack. As it does on every other day, you would have walked past it without slowing down. Subscribe before we start. 2 seconds, drop a comment. Which of these trails have you walked? Today we're counting down 12 Australian hiking trails where documented wildlife attacks happened with almost no warning. Let's go. Number 12. Woonona Foreshore Path, Wollongong, New South Wales, the Magpie. We begin with a bird every Australian has already survived, the magpie. And if that makes you feel better about what's coming, it shouldn't. In September 2019, a 76-year-old man was riding along an off-road path beside Nicholson Park at Woonona, near Wollongong. A magpie swooped him from behind. He swerved, hit a fence post, and was thrown from the bike. He died from his head injuries that evening. The magpie wasn't hunting him. It was nesting. Between August and October, a magpie protecting eggs will dive on anything it reads as a threat. Cyclists, joggers, walkers, from directly behind, at head height, completely silent until the last half second. Magpie Alert logs thousands of incidents every spring. Cyclists make up nearly 70% of reported targets. It sits at number 12 because the bird itself rarely kills. The danger is the decision your body makes in the half second when something dives at your head from behind, on a path you've walked 100 times without incident. Number 11. Bibbulmun Track, southwestern Western Australia, the western grey kangaroo. In September 2022, a 77-year-old alpaca breeder named Peter Eads was found with serious injuries on his rural property near Redmond, 400 kilometres south of Perth. When paramedics arrived, an animal was preventing them from reaching him. Police shot it before emergency care could begin. Eads died at the scene. The animal wasn't a crocodile. It wasn't a snake. It was a western grey kangaroo, one he had raised himself from a joey. A large male can stand over 6 feet tall and uses his muscular tail as a counterweight, so both hind legs strike simultaneously at the height of your chest or face. They are not predatory. They attack when cornered, when they feel challenged by a person's upright stance, or, as here, when captivity has replaced fear with familiarity. It was the first confirmed fatal kangaroo attack in Australia in 86 years. It ranks at number 11 because the animal almost always telegraphs aggression first. It stands tall, stares, thumps the ground. The problem is the gap between that posture and the kick, under a second. Number 10. Blue Mountains National Park, New South Wales, the Sydney funnel web spider. You reach beside the trail to move a piece of bark. Nothing unusual. You've done it before. The spider underneath doesn't retreat. It rears up, fangs forward, and strikes. That's how bites happen with the Sydney funnel web, and it's what separates it from almost every other dangerous species in this country. Most spiders flee when disturbed. This one doesn't. It builds burrows under logs, rocks, and dense leaf litter, the exact ground cover that lines Blue Mountain's walking tracks, and when something intrudes, it stands its ground. Before antivenom was introduced in 1981, at least 13 people died from funnel web bites in Australia. The venom targets the human nervous system specifically, making it more dangerous to us than to most other mammals. There have been no confirmed deaths since antivenom became available, but that only matters if you reach a hospital in time. It sits at number 10 because the warning is nothing. No rattle, no hiss, no movement until contact. The spider was already there, under your hand, before the thought of danger arrived. Number 9. Grampians Peaks Trail, Victoria, the eastern brown snake. Number 9 is the species responsible for more snakebite deaths in Australia than any other, not because it hunts people, but because it is almost impossible to see until the moment your foot is already descending. The eastern brown is fast and genuinely conflict-averse. Given space to escape, it takes it. The bites that kill happen when it has no space. A snake sunning itself on a warm section of trail, pressed flat against red-brown gravel, invisible until a boot lands 30 centimeters from its head. It can strike at 2/3 of its body length in under 200 milliseconds, faster than a human blink. Its venom causes coagulopathy, paralysis, and cardiac arrest. It sits at number 9 for one reason only. Given any option at all, it chooses to leave before you see it. The entries below this are animals that don't make that choice. Number 8. Daintree Rainforest Trails, Cape Tribulation, Queensland, the Cassowary. In 1926, near Mossman in far north Queensland, a 16-year-old named Philip McLean and his brother encountered a cassowary on their property. They tried to drive it off with clubs. Philip fell to the ground. The bird's inner claw opened his jugular vein. He bled to death. It remains one of the only recorded fatal bird attacks in modern history, and it happened because of a single rule the cassowary enforces consistently: do not be on the ground near one. The southern cassowary stands nearly 2 meters tall and carries a dagger-like claw on each foot, measuring up to 18 centimeters. It can run at 50 kilometers an hour through dense rainforest and is often described as the world's most dangerous bird. More than 200 incidents are reported annually in Australia, most triggered by people feeding them, which teaches the bird that humans mean food, and when the food stops coming, the bird interprets the situation differently. It sits at number 8 because it usually gives a visible warning before charging. What earns its rank is the speed of what follows, and what that claw does to anyone already on the ground. Number 7. Lamington National Park, Gold Coast Hinterland, Queensland. The death adder. The eastern brown snake, at number 9, relies on camouflage, but it will flee when it senses you coming. The death adder relies on camouflage and stays put. It is an ambush predator, built to lie motionless for extended periods in leaf litter and grass, at the edge of rainforest walking tracks, waiting for prey to come to it. Approaching footsteps are not a cue to escape. They are irrelevant until they become proximity and then a strike at under zero. At 15 seconds, it is among the fastest strikes of any snake on Earth, delivering a neurotoxin that causes progressive paralysis. Before antivenom, the death adder was responsible for roughly 60% of snakebite fatalities in Australia. It sits one rung above the eastern brown for a single reason. A brown snake tells you it's there if only by moving away. A death adder tells you nothing. The difference between stepping on it and not is centimeters, and the snake has no intention of helping you find out where it is. We're past the halfway point. Everything below here stops reacting and starts pursuing, or the landscape itself becomes the mechanism that removes your warning. Hit subscribe before number 6, because from here the hikers who found these trails the wrong way didn't get a second chance. Number 6. Cassowary, formerly Fraser Island, Queensland. The dingo. In January 2026, a 19-year-old Canadian backpacker named Piper James went for an early morning swim near the wreck of the SS Maheno on Caggary's 75-mile beach. Her body was found a short time later, surrounded by approximately 10 dingoes. An autopsy confirmed drowning as the primary cause of death, but also found pre-mortem bite wounds, meaning the pack was already engaged with her before she died. 6 animals were euthanized. It was the first such incident involving an adult in the island's recorded history. Cassowary holds one of the last genetically pure dingo populations in Australia. It also holds decades of tourists who fed them, which produced a predator that approaches people confidently, reads running as a prey response, and hunts cooperatively. In 2001, 9-year-old Clinton Gage was killed on the same island by 2 dingoes. His 7-year-old brother was also attacked and survived. Rangers warn explicitly, do not run from a dingo. Running tells a pack animal that you are prey. The warning at number 6 exists. It's printed on signs at every ferry dock. What earns its rank is that the animal has already made its decision by the time you understand you're being followed. Number 5. Bowling Green Bay National Park, Townsville, Queensland. The box jellyfish. At number 5, the danger is invisible, silent, and present in water that looks completely clear. The box jellyfish, Chironex fleckeri, is among the most venomous marine animals known to science. Its tentacles carry venom capable of stopping a human heart in under 5 minutes. The animal itself is nearly transparent, roughly the size of a basketball, with tentacles up to 3 meters long trailing behind it. In water, even slightly turbid, it is invisible until contact. It enters the shallow water of beaches, estuaries, and tidal creek crossings throughout northern Queensland. Between October and May, hikers crossing a stream at a trail ford, wading a tidal flat, or cooling their feet at a beach access point during stinger season are entering the same water as something that can kill in the time it takes to call for help. In February 2021, a 17-year-old named Tommy Johnson was stung while swimming at Patterson's Point, near Bamaga, Cape York. He was placed on life support. He died a week later, 3 days before his 18th birthday. Box jellyfish have caused at least 70 confirmed deaths in Australia since 1883. It ranks at number 5 because it delivers no signal. The water is clear, the tentacle is invisible until it's already around your leg. Number 4. Hinchinbrook Island, Thorsbourne Trail, Queensland. The saltwater crocodile. The Thorsbourne Trail is one of Australia's most celebrated wilderness walks, 32 kilometres of rainforest, mangrove and beach. It is also one of the few overnight hikes in the country where rangers require hikers to carry an emergency beacon as a condition of access. That requirement exists because of what shares the water crossings on the route. Saltwater crocodiles in Queensland are fully protected under the Nature Conservation Act. The animal that enters the river crossing on day 2 of your trek cannot be removed preemptively. Rangers assess risk, they do not eliminate it. Australia has recorded 44 fatal saltwater crocodile attacks since 1969, with Queensland accounting for 19 of those deaths. The animal holds motionless at the waterline for hours, eyes and nostrils flush with the surface, invisible in tannin-dark water, silent, giving nothing away before it moves. When the attack begins, it is already over. It sits at number 4 because the risk here is documented and ranger managed. But every hiker who has crossed Nina Bay at low tide has walked within meters of water that could hold an animal 4 to 5 meters long with no way to see into it. Number 3. Mary River Wetlands. Walking tracks, Northern Territory. The saltwater crocodile, the same animal, a different body of water, different. And among the highest densities of large adult saltwater crocodiles ever recorded anywhere on the planet. The Mary River system east of Darwin holds more adult saltwater crocodiles per kilometre of waterway than any other measured location in the world. Walking tracks through the Mary River wetlands follow directly alongside channels and billabongs that carry that population. You can hear frogs. You can see water lilies. The surface looks undisturbed. In August 2013, a 24-year-old man named Brett Mann was swimming across the Mary River near the Mary River Wilderness Retreat, celebrating a birthday with 2 friends. His friends watched him disappear below the surface. His body was never recovered. Senior Sergeant Jeff Barnett told reporters afterward, "The Mary River is known worldwide for its saltwater crocodile density. You don't swim in the Mary River. The trail doesn't end at the bank. Hikers follow paths along that bank, down to creek edges where the gradient drops to the water. The surface never looks like what it contains. That is why it ranks at number 3. Number 2. Cahill's Crossing, East Alligator River, Kakadu National Park, Northern Territory. The saltwater crocodile. Cahill's Crossing is a concrete causeway where the East Alligator River meets the tidal flat at the eastern edge of Kakadu National Park. Crocodiles are visible here on most visits, not as a warning but as a feature. Tourists stop to watch them from the bank. And people still wade across on foot. In 1987, a 40-year-old man named Kerry McLaughlin was taken by a 5.1-meter crocodile at the crossing. In October 2017, a 47-year-old man followed 2 women across the causeway on foot. The women made it to the other side. He didn't. A saltwater crocodile took him mid-crossing. His body was recovered 2 kilometers downstream. It sits at number 2 because this crossing offers something rare on this list. The warning is complete. The signs are there. The animals are visible. The deaths are public record. What earns it second place is that people still step off the bank anyway, and that the moment they do, the outcome is no longer in their hands. Number 1. East Alligator River Tributaries and Escarpment Trails, Kakadu National Park, Northern Territory. The saltwater crocodile. Number 1 is not the famous crossing. It is the trails that lead away from it, through the escarpment, following tributaries where the water looks like nothing and gives away nothing. In 1985, environmental philosopher Val Plumwood was asked to scout a proposed walking trail near the East Alligator Ranger Station. While paddling a canoe along a tributary, the exact kind of waterway these trails cross and follow, she was attacked by a saltwater crocodile. It pulled her under. She surfaced and it pulled her under again and again. She survived by hauling herself up a muddy bank after the third roll and crawling into the scrub while the crocodile circled below. She later wrote about it in an essay called Being Prey. The detail she returned to most often was not the pain or the speed. It was the water, how it looked the same. How a creek in the escarpment looks like every other creek. How there was nothing to see before it happened. The trails of Kakadou's eastern escarpment follow that same water, not managed channels with exclusion zones, but country that has held saltwater crocodiles for millions of years, through wet seasons that push them kilometers inland into floodplains and creek crossings that appear on no warning map, because last wet season, nothing was there. That is what number 1 is, the purest version of the mechanism this entire list has been building toward. A trail that leads you to water that looks exactly like water, where the thing below the surface has had 200 million years to perfect the art of looking like nothing at all. Look back down this list, not size, not venom, not kill rate statistics. The thread running from a magpie on a suburban bike path to a crocodile in the East Alligator is always the same. The moment that should have existed and didn't. The rustle that never came. The ripple that wasn't there. The bird you heard only after it had already passed your head. Australia's trails are real trails. They have names, markers, and millions spent on maintenance. None of that changes what's beside the track. Every trail on this list looked exactly as safe the second before, as it did on every other ordinary day. Someone walked it and felt nothing. The path was always just a line. Somewhere on the walk you already have in mind, the easy one, the popular one, the one rated suitable for families. Something is at the waterline right now, watching you decide it isn't there.